Well, hello, SDS. How are you doing today? I want to make sure that everyone can hear me properly. We're doing good on this beautiful Monday. You might notice the background's looking a little bit different. Oh, we got a little bit of a new setup here going. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. This is going to be our first run with our new setup. Just want to make sure everything is good. If it is, drop a thumbs up in the chat just to make sure that you guys are hearing me properly. Everything sounds good. And you can see we got Jerry behind me. It's official, baby. It's official. We are able to now talk with authority about the San Francisco 49ers. Why is that? Because we have a Jerry Rice jersey. Do we see it? Do you see it? See the Mitchell and Ness? See it? All right, we see the thumbs up in here. Let's go. Appreciate you guys. We got the whole setup, bro. We just getting started. I'm hyped. I'm hyped. I don't know about you guys. I'm hyped. I'm loving this. I got this little mic arm now I get to play with. You're going to see my ADHD on full display. I'm just going to be moving this thing all over the place is what happens when you get a mic like this, but I'm really excited. Again, shout out all the SDS, all you guys supporting the boy, allowing me to live out my dreams. Love you guys, man. I really, really do. Drop an SDS in the chat if you're vibing with your boy. Again, I appreciate you guys more than you even know. But I'm really excited. Again, I'm just most excited to play with this dang mic. Woo! Let's go. Appreciate all the squad. Appreciate all the gang out here dropping the SDS. Everyone rocking on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, whatever. Shout out the mod squad. Shout out the entire SDS. We are unstoppable. You cannot stop the bread gang. Hashtag bread gang. Hashtag breadwinners. We see you. Ooh, we get a little bit of island flavor from the island boy. We see you, Sean. But we got a lot to talk about today. We had a bunch of stuff come up earlier today. Minicamp is this week. I don't know if you guys knew that. I don't know if you knew that. Corey loves bread. I love bread too. Shout out the bread gang. Shout out all my island brothers out here. Let's go. And sisters. Can't forget the sourdough sisters. I'm pretty hyped up though. I'm pretty excited about this. Definitely the next step in the maturation process of the SDS. We're getting things rolling. We're getting things put together. All that good stuff. But obviously, we have some news to talk about. Let's look at it right now. As we understand, we thought that we had about like a week off, but the San Francisco 49ers have moved up mandatory minicamp to this week. Actually, tomorrow. Tomorrow, mandatory minicamp starts, which obviously puts a ginormous microscope on the fact who's going to show up and who's not going to show up. So those are some of the things that we're going to dive into today. We're going to talk about, again, the switch with mandatory minicamp coming up here now this week, opposed, I think the original dates were the 13th through the 15th, something along those lines. But now minicamp starts tomorrow. What does that mean for the San Francisco 49ers? That means it's mandatory. That means if you want to play football for the San Francisco 49ers, what do you got to do? You got to show up because it's mandatory. I think we know what mandatory means. I don't think we have to go into a long, drawn-out conversation about what mandatory means. But we understand that we are to expect all, if most 49ers to show up tomorrow in Santa Clara for mandatory minicamp. But we already know some players that aren't going to show up. So let's talk about the ones that aren't going to show up. It's a short list, ladies and gentlemen. So at least what's been clarified and identified up until this point, it's a very short list. Jimmy Garoppolo will not be in attendance. So no Jimmy Garoppolo at mandatory minicamp. He will not be there. Are you guys surprised by this? Are you surprised that Jimmy is a no-show? Obviously, it's been a big point of emphasis. It's been a big point of emphasis, not a big point, I would say, but it's been a point of emphasis that, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the 49ers roster because, well, according to some national media folks, he's here because the 49ers don't believe in Trey Lance, or they don't know if he's ready yet, or I don't know, maybe they need some competition at the position. But I think this report from Tom Palacero, the 49ers have excused Jimmy Garoppolo from attending mandatory minicamp while the team continues to explore trade options. Obviously, we've also heard recently from a beat reporters of the Panthers that the Panthers have no interest in taking part of Jimmy Garoppolo's $26.9 million contract. Now, are we surprised by that? No. Are we surprised that the 49ers have excused Jimmy Garoppolo? No. Because we've talked about on this channel at length, at least from our opinions and our thought processes on the matter, that probably having Jimmy Garoppolo back in the 49ers locker room at this stage of Trey Lance's career might not be the best situation for a budding young potential superstar in Trey Lance because you can go back to Jimmy Garoppolo, the media run that he did about a month ago, talking about, and also Matt Mayoko on 49ers Talk brought it up, but he was talking about how Jimmy said on, I think, a podcast with Adam Sheen, was that he wouldn't wish last year on anyone. Well, if Jimmy wouldn't wish last year on anyone, and I think he's talking about the quarterback situation. Again, the 49ers, being in a position, they trade all the draft capital to move up in the draft. They take Trey Lance, and then the kind of back and forth between Jimmy and Trey, not only within the media, but I'm sure within the organization. Hey, Jimmy said he wouldn't want that on his worst enemy. So I don't know if he wouldn't necessarily willingly want to come back into that scenario. But again, Matt Mayoko also reiterated yet again how the surgery caught the 49ers completely off guard. It's been a slow trickle out about that particular subject, about the surgery and the timing of it, and like were the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo's camp on the same page? By all accounts, they were not on the same page. The 49ers were a bit taken back by, again, continual reports from Matt Mayoko and others that the surgery definitely caught everyone by surprise, and also transitioned into the 49ers kind of being in the position that they are in, with Jimmy Garoppolo still trying to be traded. So with that being said, Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't appear to be coming back for mandatory minicamp. Now, we are going to find out if Jimmy Garoppolo will, in fact, be back for training camp. We are going to find out based on the timetable that we've been able to understand, is that he should be able to start throwing around, I think, mid-June to end of July. Should be able to start throwing again. And then I would imagine that is when teams will start kicking the tires on Jimmy Garoppolo, if he can be traded and what that looks like. So that's something to monitor. But again, that will be an ongoing situation in regards to Jimmy Garoppolo. But again, if you're just joining us, 49ers have adjusted their mandatory minicamp schedule. They've moved it up a week. June 7th through the 9th will be the dates for mandatory minicamp, which means starts tomorrow, which means what's going on with this guy? Obviously, fans, media all want to understand what Deebo Samuel is up to, what he's going through, thought processes on the situation. So, in regards to Matt Mayoko's podcast, who actually kind of dropped the news on the minicamp switch with the dates, he also went on to say Deebo Samuel is not expected to be on the field for practices, but it remains to be seen if he will show up and risk being fined. So essentially, what he's saying is even if Deebo Samuel were to show up to the 49ers facility, I don't think he would be expected to actually practice. Obviously, we understand Deebo Samuel, his representation, are going after a new contract. Well, when you're going after a new contract, you probably don't want to get on the field, probably don't want to risk injury. That just seems like a good idea to me. But we've seen the opposite. We've seen guys like Fred Warner show up. We've seen guys like George Kittle show up. So we have both sides of it. So again, we know Deebo Samuel was in the Bay Area last night. He was at the Warriors game yet again. Does that mean he actually goes to the facility? That remains to be seen. Just like Matt Mayoko said. But again, uh, if he doesn't show, if Deebo Samuel doesn't show, he could potentially incur fines upwards of over $90,000. So I get it, $90,000 maybe in the grand scheme of things. From our standpoint, yeah, $90,000 seems like a lot of money to get fined. But I think with Deebo Samuel trying to work out a deal in the range of, maybe 100 mil, around that range. 90 does feel like a little bit of a drop in the bucket, so definitely could be something that he withstands. Uh-oh, we got some news here. Hold on one second. We got some news. Not really 49ers related, kind of 49ers related. This just in from Ian Rappaport. The Rams have reworked all-world defensive tackle Aaron Donald's 3 remaining contract years to give him a massive $40 million raise through 2024, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history at the age of 31 years old. That means he gets $95 million through 2024. Woo! Daddy Brunskill's son just got paid. Wonderful. So if you guys aren't familiar with me right now, I was posting Brunskill clips on the timeline prior to hopping on live. It looks like I'm going to need to post some Aaron Donald Brunskill clips here pretty soon, especially with that news. So obviously a little bit of a wrench in what we were talking about. But if you're just, again, joining us, the Rams have extended Aaron Donald, which makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. And guess what? The San Francisco 49ers have his kryptonite on the roster. So I get it. The Rams make a good move there, locking up their just like Ian Rappaport said, all-world defensive tackle. But hey, we got Daddy Brunskill on the roster. Let's not forget that Daddy Brunskill is Aaron Donald's kryptonite, and it is proven fact at this point. It is. You had 3 opportunities last year, and he was like, people like to point to that last play. People like to point to that last play of that particular game. But there's a lot of context that goes into that last play, and if you look at the entire body of work, it's just facts. Brunskill just plays phenomenally well against Aaron Donald, and I'm going to post clips later. But hey, that means Aaron Donald is not retiring. That means Aaron Donald is here to stay in the NFC West. So buckle up, baby. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm very excited to play the Rams. I feel like, as a fan of the team, as a content creator, I just can't wait till that Rams matchup. I just feel like that last loss that the 49ers had against the Rams, in the conference championship game last year, feels like we should have had that one. Feels like the 49ers, literally had it in our hands and we just kind of fumbled it at the end. But that just makes me personally looking forward to that matchup against the Rams more so than a lot of these matchups that the 49ers will be playing against next year. I'm looking very, very much so looking forward to the Rams 2 games, of course, at Levi's and at Levi's South. So very much looking forward to it. But again, just remember, we have his kryptonite. I see Niners Worldwide saying, now I'm sad. Don't be sad. We got 80s kryptonite on the roster, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But again, shout out to all the SDS vibing with me. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Do me a favor if you are interested. I mean, look at the new residency swag. We got the gray colorway. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. If you guys want to get your residency caps, go to residency.com. Make sure you use the promo code DSF9ers. You can see we got look at all the residency hats. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 40 million more. Residency always taking care of your boy. And they're just great hats, man. They're just great hats. I don't even like wearing my build. I'm a backwards hat kind of guy, to be honest with you. I'm a backwards hat kind of guy. Residency swayed me, man. Residency swayed me. Yeah, there's a Jerry Rice. Look at it. Well, we got a Jerry Rice. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. But let's keep it rocking. Obviously, whole bunch of stuff going on. We just had the Aaron Donald news drop. But let's keep it rocking on 49ers. Let's keep talking about what to expect with mandatory minicamp coming up. We are waiting to see if Deebo Samuel will show up. It was reported that we're going to get the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Trent Williams will, in fact, be at mandatory minicamp. It wasn't really much of a question if he was, but it just makes us feel better knowing that the best offensive lineman to ever step foot on the face of the planet is going to be in Santa Clara tomorrow, which is great news. Great news. But as you can see on the screen, no word on Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa, who we're going to talk about next, and Dee Ford. Obviously, Dee Ford hasn't been cut. We were kind of anticipating a potential retirement, a potential release, but I think it is important to note that if the 49ers were to release or cut Dee Ford, they really aren't saving any money. So, at least based on what I've gathered from websites like overthecap.com, if the 49ers were to outright release Dee Ford, they actually wouldn't be saving anything. Like minimal. Like I think less than $1 million. So I think with Dee Ford, I would not be shocked to see the 49ers go into next season similarly to what they did last year with Dee Ford, letting Dee Ford get up to speed, letting Dee Ford kind of take those baby steps. Because I was at training camp last year, I got to watch Dee Ford, and Dee Ford looked good. There was a glimpse of hope with Dee Ford last season. When we were watching training camp, we were watching McGlinchey versus Dee Ford. Prime time, baby. Watching Dee Ford and Mike McGlinchey go at it, and improved Mike McGlinchey and a Dee Ford coming back looking sharp. That was a fun camp battle. Watching those two go back and forth, get each other better. You could still see the speed from Dee Ford. So obviously, Dee Ford didn't make it far into the season. But again, he's paid what he's paid. So I wouldn't be shocked to see the 49ers go into training camp with Dee Ford and giving him the opportunity, one more chance. One more chance. I don't know. We could find out in the next day or two that, Dee Ford gets released, gets cut, he retires. We don't know. But I would not be shocked to see Dee Ford get another crack at being able to potentially, hey, make the roster again. Because like I said, from my understanding, if he were to get released, he's still paid a big amount of money. So whether, that money's going to be on the books regardless. So if it's going to be on the books regardless, hey, might as well give him a shot. One last crack. So we'll see what actually comes of that. But in the meantime, Dee Ford isn't to be expected, but we'll see how that works out. Also, Nick Bosa. It is the under-discussed topic of the offseason because obviously Deebo Samuel has kind of taken over that particular has kind of dominated the contract negotiation stuff. But is Nick Bosa going to show up? What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think Nick Bosa is going to show up to mandatory minicamp, or is he potentially going to hold out? And if or not hold out, but not show. And if he doesn't show, what is your reaction going to be? Because I do think that is a range of outcomes that we have to work through. I do think there is a possibility that we don't see Nick Bosa tomorrow. And if we don't see Nick Bosa tomorrow, how do you feel about that? Are you going to be concerned? Is it going to be a little bit of a sky is falling situation? What do you guys think about that particular scenario? Is it going to mean as much to you if Bosa doesn't show up and Deebo doesn't show up? I'm just curious. Drop it in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking, because I'm kind of expecting it, but this is actually what I want. I agree right here with Charlene. Uh, I hope that Bosa is there. I don't necessarily think he has to practice. But if Bosa is there, at least in his presence, I would feel much better about the situation. I would feel much better. Ron says he's not worried. Jets gang says bad look if they don't show up. Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. We will see about that. Let's go. Shout out Julian. Says haven't been on in a while. Nice new setup. Let's go. Shout out the bread gang. We see you. Appreciate you guys, man. I'm pretty hyped about the new setup. Pretty hyped. Pretty hyped. I like it a lot. I got the mic again. I could do all kinds of weird things with the mic. Woo! Let's go, baby. Let's go. Podcast gang. You know the vibes. Hey, Ray, don't worry. I'll be able to handle it. It's not the first time a player's chirped me. It's all good. It comes with the territory. All right. So obviously, again, mandatory minicamp. Trent Williams will be there. Don't know. We know Jimmy Garoppolo will not be there. He's been excused. Deebo Samuel, don't know. Nick Bosa, don't know. Dee Ford, don't know. So it is going to be very interesting in that regard about who actually shows up, who arrives. Let's see. We talked about that. What else didn't we talk about? Did we talk about the event that went down? Did we talk about the what was it? The Dwight Clark situation? Not situation. The Dwight Clark Foundation event where you had Steve Young, you had T.O., I think you had Bryant Young, you had a bunch of OG, 49ers. I think John Lynch was there. Uh, I don't remember if we did talk about it or not. But I did want to talk about, maybe what Steve Young had said. Uh, what's up, Callie? What's up, squad? Uh, but I did find Steve Young's comment and assessment of Trey Lance to be refreshingly accurate. I think with 49ers fans up until this point, when it comes to listening to people's assessment of Trey Lance, I think it's gotten to the point where we've heard so many different takes. It's almost like what's true and what's not true, like what's accurate and what's not accurate. Uh, and this was the other thing that came out of it. Rob Stats Guerrero of Niners Nation. He posted a tweet over the weekend as well. It was a quote. Hell, let's bring it up. You know the vibes. We'll just bring it up. So he had posted a tweet of a quote from John Lynch, essentially saying that Steve Young and let me get to it. We'll read it together at the same time. All right. So again, this was from Rob Stats Guerrera of Niners Nation. He said the best news of the 49ers offseason. John Lynch said Trey Lance has been talking with Steve Young. They don't want that out there on social media. Well, too late. It's just Steve wanting to share with a guy who he thinks he can help. We know he can help. And Trey welcomes that with open arms. For me, I love that. I think that is really an underrated move for what it means for the 49ers. I think if the 49ers were truly not sold or truly seeking to build an environment around Trey where they want Trey to be successful, I don't think they would be reaching out to Steve Young. I don't think they would be trying to set up a situation where Steve Young begins to mentor Trey Lance. Um, I think that I think that Steve Young, if you go back to this situation before Trey was drafted, when Trey was drafted, through training camp, through preseason, through the season, Steve Young has been on point. There's been a lot of conversations about the quarterback, but if you single it down to Steve Young and the things that he's talked about, the things that he's addressed, he's been on point with the entire situation throughout. Not only has he been on point, but we understand Steve Young is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. Not only is he one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, but he was a quarterback that had dual threat ability. He was a quarterback that had the ability to extend plays with his feet. He had the ability to create and make plays outside of structure, something that Trey Lance can do as well. So I think from a mentorship standpoint, the fact that the 49ers and you get Trey and Steve Young together, I think that's only a good thing. I think only good things can come from that. I also think that shows, at least to me, just a little bit, that they are, I talk about it all the time, building an environment of belief around a young quarterback, building an environment of belief, the organization putting their arm around the kid, say, you know what, we're going to give you Steve Young to bounce ideas off of, be able to work through and process, because I think Steve Young is pretty accurate in regards to how he assesses Trey Lance. When he's talking about Trey Lance at this event, when he's talking about Trey Lance at this event, he was talking about Trey Lance from a cerebral standpoint. He said from a processing standpoint, Trey Lance has got it. That's not the issue. And I think we've all kind of known that. I think when you look at Trey Lance, when you look at his ability to process, understand the playbook, those types of things, I don't think that's necessarily been a huge cause for concern. We heard reports heading into last year's training camp that that he was able to pick up the playbook at a very quick rate and do those types of things. Where Steve Young put the emphasis on was the accuracy, and we've talked about that. We've watched tape. We broke it down on this channel, and when you see the good and you see the bad, you see the plays where Trey Lance is delivering the darts, right? Trey Lance darts, and just whether it's over the middle to Kittle, whether it's trying to hit Ayuk on a deep out, uh, whatever. Like, we've seen the pinpoint accuracy from Trey Lance, but we've also seen the errant throws, the kind of some that go into the dirt or some that are too high. And I think we all understand that that can also come along with reshaping your mechanics. So if you're reshaping your mechanics, and we know he is, he's fixing the feet, he's fixing the throw motion, he's doing all that good stuff. There can be ancillary accuracy, concerns as well. So I think in the grand scheme of things, in the conversation around Trey Lance, I trust Steve Young, not just because he's a 49ers quarterback, not just because he's a Hall of Famer. Again, those are good reasons to trust him. But if you actually listen to what he's said over the last year, he's been on point. There's been a lot of other quarterbacks that, or media analysts or former players that have been in his position, and they say different things. So when it's come to the things that Trey Lance has said, I tend to agree quite a bit with what he's saying. Let's see here. Shout out Corey. Appreciate you, Corey. Corey's a legend. Shout out Corey. He says, so Jimmy hasn't been in contact with the new quarterback coach or anyone, right? Can't throw a football until July. And Trey gets all the reps, and he's supposed to be the starter next year. Okay. Yeah. I sense the sarcasm in this particular super chat, and a great super chat, by the way. Shout out Corey for the $10 super chat. I really, really do appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I hear you. I don't know how this situation would, I could see a range of outcome that could lead to that, but that range of outcome from a percentage standpoint seems really low. So when we look at this situation, again, he said goodbye to the media. We watched it. We all saw Jimmy Garoppolo say goodbye to everyone. Say goodbye to the faithful. Say goodbye to the media. We were all there. We experienced it. We posted about it. So we get it. He's probably not going to be back. So again, the conversations in the media that you hear are just conversations at this point. I imagine Jimmy is still on the block. I imagine the Panthers still want Jimmy. Bro, if you guys have time, if you want to know, like, if you want to get a sense of the Panthers fan base and you want to get a sense of like how they feel about Sam Darnold, go over to the Panthers page, Instagram page. I think yesterday or the day before was Sam Darnold's birthday, and they put out a birthday post just like every page does, right? Standard operating procedure. Go look at the comments. The comments are bad. The comments are bad. It is like 600 comments. I even went back to the other posts to like compare how many comments that, you know, the Panthers page normally gets. It's probably around 100, give or take 100 or 200. But it was like 600 plus comments just dragging Sam Darnold on a birthday post. Again, it was a birthday post. The entire fan base is done with Sam. They don't want to see Sam. All the reports coming out of the Panthers camp is Matt Corral's going to need a lot of time. He's essentially learning. I saw a quote, a new a new language. It's going to take him some time. I think the Panthers need a quarterback, and I don't think Sam is it. And if they keep Sam, people are getting fired. And that creates a sense of desperation where why I can understand the 49ers keeping Jimmy Garoppolo because there are still teams out there that need quarterbacks. And whether you like him or not, and I'm speaking of Jimmy Garoppolo, he wins football games. You might not like how he wins football games, but he wins football games, and that is valuable in the NFL. So we also understand Panthers don't want to spend the money to get him. They've already said that. But something's got to give. Something's got to give. We have the asset. They have a need to fill. I don't think the 49ers are going to cut Jimmy Garoppolo. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what goes on in this situation. Uh, so yes, they did. They absolutely did. They don't want to pay $26.9 million. They want the 49ers to eat a big portion of the contract to facilitate the trade, which is something that happens quite a bit. If you recall, like, is one of the reasons why Kaepernick didn't get traded to the Broncos. Kaepernick was supposed to get traded to the Broncos, but he refused to take a pay cut. So because he didn't take a pay cut, Broncos refused to accept the deal, and they never made that trade. And that was when Kaepernick had his surgery, and they did all that kind of stuff. And we know what happened after that. But it's part of standard operating procedure in the NFL. Especially if you're trading away a player who's going to be like a rental. Jimmy's going to be essentially a rental. He's a 1 year left on his contract. 26.9 million is a lot to bite right off the top of that deal. So they want him at a discount. Will the 49ers be willing to do that? I don't think so. Because they've done this before in a sense. So we'll find out. We'll find out, but I would imagine we're going to find out here pretty soon what's going to go on. I'm going to say next month or so, we're going to find out. We are going to find out. And again, I think once Jimmy's back to throwing, once you can say, hey, look at Jimmy throwing, they can send out a reel of Jimmy throwing post surgery. Then teams I think are going to, who need a quarterback, are going to be calling the 49ers again. So we got some time. And they're just going to wait it out. They've proved that they will wait it out. Parag Marate clearly set up the cap structure to be able to hold him up until this point. So, hey, we're going to find out. We're going to see what happens. But I imagine we're waiting for him to throw. Ready to throw soon. Oh, we looking crystal clear? Are we looking crystal clear? I hope so. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No more. I don't want to jinx it because I bet I would say no more McDonald's Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi goes out. So I'm not. I kind of jinxed it, but we on to 4K next. Yeah, Roman says next stop 1440. We coming. Shout out the squad. Oh, JC says call my boy Brad Shue now. If you don't know, Rob Shue has got the most crystal clear. He's got the best camera setup probably out of all 49ers podcasters. I think it's Shue. I think Jesse's got a good setup. Who else got a good setup? Low key, a lot of good setups out there. But ever since I went onto Rob Shue's channel, and I'll be honest, I never really watched Rob up before I went on his channel, and so it was like a cool experience getting to experience it all. The cup thing and like the focus. I was like, oh, this guy's got it figured out. Shout out Rob. Rob's a real one. Larry's got a good one. Yeah, dude. Hey, 49ers podcasters are stepping up, baby. We're elevating. We're elevating. What's good, Tech? What's good? Tech, you been around these parts? Are you new to YouTube? Let's go. Sneakerheads in the house. Shout out Rob, man. Rob's a real one. I loved hanging out with Rob at the combine, man. Loved hanging out with Rob at the combine. We had a good time. Me and Rob, we just me and Rob, we went to like a cigar lounge. Me and Rob just chilled for like 2 hours smoking cigars. Rob's a real one. That was fun. I need to hit up Shoe. I've been bad. I've been pulling a Jimmy Garoppolo lately, but I need to get Shoe over here. I need to get Rob on the channel. Shout out Rob. Sneakerheads unite. Sneakerheads, bread gang. You know the vibes. You know the vibes. All right. What else you guys want to talk about? We talked about Trey Lance. We talked about Trey Lance working with Steve Young potentially. We talked about all kinds of stuff. Oh, look at this. We're crystal clear, baby. We're crystal clear. Let's go. Let's go. Mike McGlinchey. You want to talk about Mike McGlinchey? Oh, I definitely need to get Rob on the channel. Definitely need to get Rob on the channel. Definitely. Oh, that Starbucks Wi-Fi is premium. Premium. Oh, I got you. I got you on this. So I just started again. If you guys didn't know, I just started posting the Brunny clips. We just started posting the Brunny clips on Twitter. If you haven't seen them already, we got some Brunny clips. So I'll definitely add Mike McGlinchey to the mix because an underrated talking point about Brunskill, Mike McGlinchey was their ability to work in tandem when stunts were coming at them. So Brunskill, Mike McGlinchey, make sure you're following me on Twitter because I got a lot of offensive line clips coming. Oh, baller. If you want the Hufanga clips, sub to the boy. All us content creators dropping clips, baby. I'll do a quick little breakdown on this one. Why I like this one because the defensive tackle on this one actually won initially off the bat. Watch him swipe hands. Swipe. You see that? That's actually good on the defensive tackle. But what we talk about with offensive linemen is the ability to recover. You're not always going to win initially. In fact, more often than not, you actually are going to lose initially. Unfortunately, it's just life being an offensive lineman. Cornerbacks can have a similar understanding because you're backpedaling, you're moving backwards, you're having elite athletes come at you. So you have to be able to recover. So this particular rep, I posted it, is just because you get to see the recovery. You get to see the hand swipe by the defensive tackle hand swipes, Brunskill stays engaged. And if that group of people aren't there, I actually would imagine that defensive tackle is on his face because you can kind of see this push that Brunskill gets, this little pop right here. See that little jump 98 gets into that crowd? 98's going to the turf if that crowd isn't there. So we're coming with lots of Brunskill clips. Lots of Brunskill clips. We're going to get Mike McGlinchey clips from earlier in the season. We'll talk about and indicate where Mike improved, why he improved, and all that good stuff. But again, pop over to Twitter if you haven't already. Started posting the Brunny clips, baby. We got the Brunny clips. This would have been a touchdown if Brandon Ayuk just didn't just totally look at the Ayuk coming out of the left part of the screen, just dropping the linebacker onto the turf. Oh, can't hold like that, my boy. I appreciate the effort, though. Appreciate the effort. Just can't hold like that. Pretty excited about it, though. So I got a lot of Brunskill McGlinchey clips coming. Oh, we got some McGlinchey love. Let's go. Jack says love McGlinchey as a Notre Dame fan, but glad the Raiders traded back to get Miller. Will support a Notre Dame player. What's wild about that whole situation is the reason why we have McGlinchey is because of a coin flip. The reason we have Mike McGlinchey is because of a coin flip. If the 49ers didn't win that coin flip with the Raiders and the Raiders took McGlinchey at 9, who would the 49ers have taken? Would they have taken, I think it was Derwin James, Minka Fitzpatrick were both available at that time. It's crazy how those like little things that we sometimes forget about, because we had the same record, we were tied, and they literally had to do a coin flip at the combine. 49ers won the coin flip, and because they won the coin flip, they got Mike McGlinchey. From all accounts, the Raiders wanted McGlinchey as well. So crazy how that little moment in time switch things up. Because who would the 49ers have taken if they lost the coin flip? If they lost the coin flip, would Minka be on the team? Would Derwin James be on the team? I don't know. It's crazy to think about, but always appreciate a respectful Raider fan. You are welcome here anytime, Jack. We like to talk trash with Raiders quite a bit, but we like to keep it classy. So any Raider fans that can come on here and have some fun, we appreciate you guys. But yeah, lots of stuff coming to the offensive line. How are you guys feeling about the offensive line now that Alex Mack has retired and we know it's official? How do you feel? Do you feel okay? You've had a weekend to kind of sleep on it? Do you feel better about the O-line situation, or is it still kind of bothering you? Roman says, I'm scared, not going to lie. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting, right? Yeah, we're talking about that center position. One of the best things that we've heard is Aaron Banks showing improvement, getting the body right, again, showing the dedication. And that's only going to continue along with his development. Again, if you've heard anything about the way these players talk about being a good NFL player, it's putting in the offseason work. It's putting in the preparation. It's putting in all the time in the off season to get your body right, so that when it comes time to perform, you're ready to go. Uh, I have a case of squeaky bum time with the Mack retiring. Uh, Charlene says, wondering who will be center. Super nervous. Sergeant says the O line's still a big question mark. Yep, it is. It is. Texans says I like Jalen Moore. I think Jalen Moore has a lot to prove this year. Just based on my reading of the situation, I feel like Jalen Moore, him playing at the right guard position, I don't feel like that is a vote of confidence. I've talked about that many times. Just because they moved him to right guard, I don't think that's a vote of confidence. You even had I'm gonna have to start listening to Matt Mayoko more because I'll be honest, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but I'm starting to listen to 49ers talk with Matt Mayoko a little bit more because he drops nuggets. I didn't realize how many nuggets he drops. But he dropped the nugget about Jalen Moore switching to right guard. On this past podcast, he talked about how Jalen Moore openly spoke about how he's more comfortable on the left side. So again, let's think about it. He is a left tackle. When he got into the NFL, he solely played left tackle because Trent Williams doesn't practice in training camp and team period. So who played first string left tackle all of training camp? Jalen Moore. What did Jalen Moore play week 7 against the Colts? Left tackle. What did they try to do with Jalen Moore against the Jags week 11? They tried to play him at right tackle. Oh, and they had to pull him. They had to pull him. And then when the opportunity came for Jalen to slot back into left tackle when Trent Williams went down week 18, they went with a guard. They put a guard at tackle. Colton McKivitz is historically a guard. Now, I know they've been playing him at tackle. They've been he's kind of one of those chess pieces. You can play right guard, right tackle, left tackle, which is why I think he has a really good shot at making the team. But again, I think Jalen Moore has an uphill battle. And I would agree with this. I think Jalen Moore is very athletic. I don't think that is his problem. I don't think Jalen Moore has necessarily an issue with his athleticism. I think it's just more about being stout at the point of attack. So we'll see. We will see. But again, that's just my personal take on it. I don't necessarily see taking a natural left tackle and moving him to right guard as like a vote of confidence. Like to me, it's like a lack of confidence. Like we're gonna take the thing that you do really well, and we're just gonna be like, we don't know if we trust you out there. Let's see how you try at the guard position. Meanwhile, they drafted 2 guards, brought in a bunch of interior offensive linemen. So we're gonna find out. We're going to find out. But again, that's the right guard position, specifically just with Jalen Moore. But this is going to be a guy that I'm really excited to watch. Now, Jake Brendel, I spent a lot of time watching him. I've told you guys this story before. I was watching the second string camp battle last year. I was very interested in the second string camp battle at center. Something that I don't think a lot of people would find interest in. Probably something that when they go to training camp, they don't pay attention to. I was all over who was better at the second string center position because, again, friend of the show, Dakota Shepley, former third string center for the 49ers, was putting up a hell of a battle. Dakota Shepley was putting up a hell of a battle for that second string spot, but Jake Brendel held him off. Jake Brendel held him off and won out that second string spot, ended up making the roster, maintaining the roster all year. So you can't sleep on Jake Brendel. I also think Jake Brendel has probably put in a ton of work understanding the potential situation that's in front of him. So can't sleep on Jake Brendel. Cannot. As Kenneth says, Jake effing Brendel. Kenneth says also too, O-line is a little sad at the moment. I don't think it's necessarily sad. I just think, the questions, a little bit of unknown. It's just we don't know. But I think there's a lot of different opportunities available, which is a good sign. In regards to the rookies that have come in, Burford, Zakel, both can play guard. Burford, athletic specimen, length, size, speed. Like he's a traits guy. I think there's a difference between technique and traits. So with Burford, he has all the traits. Like he's got all the traits. He's got long arms. He's got strong base, quick feet, good hips. From what I've seen, good balance. Just a little rougher on the technical side of things. Whereas I look at Zakel being more of a technically polished type of player. Doesn't have the same traits, but still explosive for his size. Still great bend for his size. So, again, might be lacking a little bit of experience at the position, but I think we don't lack talent at the position, if that makes sense. I think we have some gems that just haven't been polished yet. Here we go. Oh, get ready. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. We about to pull the bun out. We're gonna let the hair bang out the helmet. Could you imagine these ginger locks just waving out the back of the helmet like every time I get a pancake? That would be my move. Anytime I get a pancake, I'd stand up and I just shake the hair. That's it. Just let them know. That's it. Just a little hair shake. Just a little whoosh. Like you just got pancaked by a ginger with long ginger hair. And you got to look at it now as you get up off the ground. Just shake it. Just let it. And it gets like real like curly and like a little fluffy, a little big. So it would be, kind of like Talanoa. Now it's not like Talanoa. Talanoa's hair is elite. Let me say that one more time. Talanoa Hufanga's hair is elite. He will have some kind of shampoo, hair commercial, like something's coming, and you better get on it quick. Like if I'm working marketing for Talanoa Hufanga, like we're calling Head and Shoulders first off. You got the Troy Polamalu connection. You already know that we've seen a proven Polynesian be able to be a phenomenal spokesperson for Head and Shoulders. So we're going there first. But if that's not working, we're going to break into some new maybe company, because Hufanga's hair is elite. Let me just say that again. Now, we got some good hair. we're definitely headed down a off the rails segment, which typically are our best segments when we're off the rails. You can't forget about George. Look at those locks that George got. Look at those locks. Can't forget George. George needs something. We got Bobby Tonyan hopping on the hair bandwagon now. we got Bobby Tonyan hopping on the hair bandwagon now. But we got some elite hair on the 49ers. Just saying. But I think Talanoa is the best. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think no disrespect to George, because George has beautiful head of hair. But Talanoa has elite locks. And then he's going to lock you down. And he's going to throw up the T in your face. He's going to throw up the T in your face, give out a little chee-hoo. He's going to throw out one of those, and there's nothing you can do about it because it's Talanoa. I'm really hyped for Talanoa. I really am. I'm really excited for him. I think he's great. You just get the sense from some guys, like just dope people, like good people, work hard, great character, put in the effort. Really excited about Talanoa. Really excited about Talanoa. I agree. I think Spencer is going to develop 100%. I think Burford's going to develop 100%. I don't expect him to be perfect. But I do expect him to develop from a technical standpoint. I think what Burford has are a lot of the things that you can't teach. You can't teach his strength. You can't teach his size. You can't teach his speed. You can teach technique. Not everyone picks up technique the same, but you can do it. Absolutely can do it. Let's see. What else we want to talk about? What else do we want to talk about? I'm reading some of the comments here. Facts. Man bun gang, let's go. Oh, he definitely did. Oh, I think Bosa's gonna get what, in the range of 150. I think Bosa's getting in the 150 million, 150 million a year range. I think that's absolutely a range of outcome that can happen. Feels like it. Feels like it's coming. Oh, get pancaked by the ginger beard of George Kittle. Whew. Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. Yes, he was clutch. Tongan gang. All the Tocos out there. Tocos and Usos uniting. Let's see. This is true. Hufanga's name absolutely sounds like a football name. This is going to be interesting if Kalia Davis actually does play this year. There's just so many defensive linemen that they have they can afford to kind of try and sneak him in some form or fashion. I think he's going to be a player based on what I've seen. I'm not going to pretend like I've studied his tape, but just like we always talk about, you only need a couple plays to be able to pull baseline traits. And his baseline traits, you could see why the 49ers would like him. Very fast off the snap, good strength, very slippery, hard to block, Feels like he has a counter move for anything an offensive lineman's throwing at him. He feels like he's going to be a player in the NFL. I think right now it's a numbers game. How do they fit him onto the roster? And if they can't, maybe they try to do some roster manipulation, put him on the PUP. So I would imagine he would get some run. I don't know if he's going to make the final 53, but if they can figure out a way to keep him around, I think that would be good. Does Alfredo Gutierrez make the 53 this season, or does he end up on the practice squad? So again, I will have a much better feel of this coming up after training camp. Once we get the pads on, once we see what the repetitions look like. Again, I just have to keep going back to last year. Alfredo Gutierrez played 3 snaps in team period all of training camp, and 2 of them were penalties on him. So, but we understood he's a developmental prospect in every sense of the word. He did not learn at a D1 level. He was playing in Mexico against supremely inferior talent. So making that jump, now being in the NFL, going up against NFL talent, NFL technique, NFL games, that's hard. So I'm very interested to see how he's improved from year one, because you got a baseline from him year one, and you could tell it's a lot going on, probably a lot thrown at him. Again, trying to not only learn a Kyle Shanahan playbook, but coming from Mexico and that level of competition is probably a whirlwind. So he'll probably be much better suited headed into this year. So I would probably imagine he'd be another he'd be another practice squad guy, because I also think because he's part of the international program, you can get like a roster exemption. So you actually can keep Alfredo due to like the NFL acknowledging that he's an international kind of developmental prospect. So I would imagine he'll be another practice squad guy. I would imagine for Alfredo, his best shot is next year. Again, last year probably whirlwind. This year has an idea, understands what he needs to do, what he needs to work on, what he needs to get better at. Spends a lot of this year working on that, and I would imagine next year, heading into training camp, he will have a much better opportunity at making the 53 man, because that means he would have to make it over guys like School, McKivitz, Burford, Zakel, Jalen Moore, and I don't know if he's ready. So I could imagine that he would be on the practice squad. Does Juice's low center of gravity help in blocking, especially in 100%. You win with leverage. You win with leverage, especially as a blocker. You have to have good leverage. You can't be standing straight up. You can't move an object standing straight up. You have to have great leverage. You have to have great pad level, and you have to be able to drive off of that. And one of the things that makes Juice so good is he's, a little shorter, but he knows how to get his pads low, and he really knows how to create that angle and drive. Juice is just a dog, man. Oh, you want the AZ film? You want the AZ film? We could do an AZ film review this week. I'm still kind of getting this week set up. Obviously, we had a bit of a wrench thrown into it because we now have mandatory minicamp that we weren't supposed to have this week, but that is now a thing. So players and coaches will be speaking to the media tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, we'll also have players and media speaking, or players and coaches speaking to the media. So maybe later in the week we could do the film review, maybe another Friday film session. But obviously, mandatory minicamp coming up. We got a lot to dive into. Could you see Jordan Mason pushing anyone other than Hasty for playing time? Well, what's going to be really interesting is what I've been thinking about this a lot, man. I've been thinking about this a lot. Not only just the sense of Jordan Mason, but oh, hi Turk. Shout out Turk. If you don't know, Turk spams hi until I say hi back. So hi Turk. I didn't see you. I was up in the chat a little bit. Hi Turk. Uh I think Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon feels like he could be that guy. It because when we go back to last year, Hasty was on the active roster over Sermon on some situations. Uh Jeff Wilson was up over Sermon during a couple games. So I don't think it's just Hasty that Jordan Mason is pushing. I think there is a range of outcomes where they're trying to see, like, all right, Sermon, like, you were supposed to be that guy, but it's not playing out like that. Because, dude, I was ready to start the Trey Sermon hive because if you go back to last year in training camp, you scroll through my notes here. You go back to last year's training camp. Do you know was the first who was the starter day 1 of training camp? Day 1 of padded practices, day 1 of training camp? The starter was Trey Sermon. It was not. Let me repeat that again. Last year, when I was at training camp, the first running back to step onto the field was Trey Sermon. It was not Raheem Mostert. It was not Elijah Mitchell. It was Trey Sermon. And it was Trey Sermon for a good portion of camp. And this was what the rotation would look like. It would be first play, Trey Sermon. Second play, Mostert. Third play, Sermon. Fourth play, Mostert. It looked like in training camp, like they were going to feed Trey Sermon the football. Like it looked like they were doing everything they could to get Trey Sermon in there. But you guys remember that week 1 game? He didn't even suit up. Week 1 against Detroit Lions, he didn't suit up. And we're like, "What? Like what is happening?" Like how do you fall that far? How do you go from starting day 1 of training camp? You're starting over Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert, who last year I ranked as the 5th best player on the 49ers. You guys know me, I was very high on Raheem Mostert. And went from starting over Raheem to the dude didn't even dress first week. And then I think it was like, dude. So to Justin's question, I think it's more than just Hasty. I think the TDP pick, Jordan Mason now, because if you think about it, Anthony Lynn has no ties to Trey Sermon. Anthony Lynn has 0 ties to Trey Sermon. Everything that we've heard about Bobby Turner, he's very involved in the running back situation, scouting running backs, seeing which running backs he wants. So I don't know. Could that have been a Bobby Turner pick? Could that have been an Adam Peters pick? Could that have been a Kyle Shanahan pick? Who knows? But what we do know is that Trey Sermon fell out. He started training camp as a starter over Raheem Mostert, over Elijah Mitchell, over JaMychal Hasty. But by week 1, he was nowhere to be found. And so you now bring in a new run game. You have a new run game coordinator who's Chris Forster. You have a new assistant head coach and running back coach in Anthony Lynn, who likes big backs. But they go and draft TDP, big back, great burst, super physical, and they go get a guy like Jordan Mason. So I think feels like Trey Sermon's on notice. I don't know. Trey Sermon got hurt last year, playing special teams in the Vikings game. The Vikings game was week 12, so we didn't really see much of Trey Sermon after that. Played really primarily special teams. So I think that's a healthy competition right there. I think that's a healthy competition. I don't think it's necessarily a foregone conclusion that Trey Sermon makes the rosters just because of the draft compensation they gave up. You would think they would have the longest leash possible to be able to make the team, but sheesh. I don't know, man. I don't know. I didn't see enough from Trey Sermon in season because again, you go back to the Green Bay game where he started. Trey Sermon started a game. He started week 3 against Green Bay, and he put up a decent amount of production. But if you see how he put up the production, he left a lot of yards on the field. Trey Sermon left a ton of yards on the field. Of course, you guys know we break it down from an offensive line standpoint. So when we broke down the tape, we did our film reviews and we did our tape breakdowns in season, Green Bay Packers. We saw like, oh, he missed that cutback, or he wasn't patient enough on this block. He didn't set up this spot here. Like you saw a lot of opportunities where Trey Sermon left a lot on the field. So I don't think that's why he really got much opportunities again. I really don't think he did. So we'll continue to see. Let me try and catch up on the chat really quick. I'm way behind. And Corey jumps to the front of the list. All right. I guess this is how you jump to the front of the list. Shout out Corey. Appreciate you for your second super chat of the day. I need to start like ranking super chats because I think Corey's up there. I know James Vega is a great super chatter. Shout out all the squad. Appreciate you guys. And again, you don't have to just send me super chats. You don't. But it's appreciated. Corey says, everyone tripping about Deebo. I see Bosa leaving in free agency is more likely. Oh, wasn't expecting that one, Corey. He says, more teams will pay a premium for him. I just think he'll be the tougher negotiation, which I don't disagree with. The quiet dude is the bigger concern. I actually don't disagree with the last part. Like, I know a ton of the focus goes to Deebo, and I kind of wonder if Deebo kind of did what he did because he kind of knew that not only do the 49ers have to pay him, but they have to pay Bosa. And I would imagine we've talked about it on this channel quite a bit. We've talked about how probably Bosa is going to be the priority, much more so than Deebo. And not only is he going to be the priority, he's going to get the bag. He's going to get way more than Deebo. Bosa has a legit chance to reset the market. I know Deebo is trying to do that. Deebo, in a sense, is trying to reset the market. But the NFL, in my opinion, told Deebo what they thought about him by the trade offers, the compensation given up. We heard from the Jets. We heard from the Detroit Lions. We didn't hear much from anyone else. But mm, mm, we saw A.J. Brown get moved. He got a $100 million contract. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if Deebo has improved. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on how the league views Deebo because I think we all would all agree. I think we would all agree Deebo's fantastic and he's unique and he's more than just a football player. He sets the tone. He is a physical beast on the field, but also just mentality that a lot of people feed off of, players feed off of. Uh, so he's obviously more important than just what he does on the field, which is very important as well. But I do agree that Nick Bosa, in the sense of, is going to be the priority, and I think he will be a tougher negotiation. But I don't see Bosa leaving though, because let's think about it. Let's talk about it. They could still, and I don't know if they have, before I put my foot in my mouth. I don't know if the 49ers have picked up his 5th-year option. But I believe that is an option. I don't think they have. Yes, they did. Okay, they did. I lied. So Nick Bosa has officially gotten his 5th-year option picked up by the 49ers, which locks him in through 2023. So again, he's on the hook with the 49ers, not only through this season, but through next. So I don't believe that he will go anywhere because the 49ers have team control now for 2 more years. Obviously, picking up his 5th-year option, it gives Bosa 17.8 million fully guaranteed for 2023. But I would imagine Bosa wants to get paid for 2022 and 2023 and see the, the contract negotiated from that point out. I don't think he wants to wait until 2023 to get a new contract. But what that means, from my understanding, again, I'm not a contract wizard here, but because Bosa is under team control through 2023, that gives the 49ers the flexibility to be able to be patient, to be able to work with Bosa through training camp. So I hear what Corey's saying. I agree with him to a certain extent. However, I don't think the 49ers will let Bosa go. I just don't think they can, because defensive end, the premium for defensive ends, especially with the model that the 49ers use on defense, he is almost irreplaceable. So not only do you pay for that position and you pay a premium and you feel good about it, but they don't grow on trees. And he perfectly said here from Jan, he is foundational. Again, this goes back to last season. I think, yeah, before last season when we were talking about everyone was ready to trade Nick Bosa for Deshaun Watson. They were so desperate for a quarterback. And I was like, no. I don't know if you guys remember. I died on that hill. I got trolled. I got people coming at me because I said never in a million years am I trading Nick Bosa for Deshaun Watson. I just said it's not going to happen. Part of the thought process there, though, because it was deeper than just, it is what it is. Like, I'm not doing it. It was also like, you should have drafted Deshaun Watson when he was sitting in your lap. Now, obviously, that conversation has changed dramatically, but at a certain point, 49er fans were willing to trade Nick Bosa plus multiple first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. And I said, you guys are crazy. Like, I get wanting Deshaun Watson. At one point, Deshaun Watson was one of my favorite players in the NFL. I get it. Like, I love like he was a draft crush, draft son coming out of Clemson. DeAndre Hopkins is a draft crush, draft son. Martavis Bryant was a draft crush, draft son. I vibed with that Clemson team. But people were ready to trade Bosa plus first round picks for Deshaun Watson. I said, you're crazy. Crazy. One, just because it's like, at what point are you just like destroying what you've built to try to put to clean up a previous mistake? Like, if you really wanted Deshaun Watson, you should have drafted him at 3 instead of Solomon Thomas. That's why I would never entertain the conversation. It was such a stupid conversation, in my opinion. And that was before Deshaun did Deshaun things and what Deshaun's dealing with right now. And it sounds like rightfully so. But that was before that. And people didn't like that. They were like, oh, you would have traded Nick Bosa and all our firsts for Deshaun. I was like, no. Should have drafted him at 3. But that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole conversation. Whole different conversation. We're going to be on this year. I think this might be a point of emphasis for the account. You know, Bread Gang. You know SDS can make noise. We've proven it over years that we can make noise when we want to. So I think part of the noise that we are going to strategically make next year is about Bosa and his holding. Because I agree with Sean here. I don't think you're a crybaby here. I don't. I think this is a real issue. And obviously we have a lot of 49ers content creators out here. We got a lot of reach, not just the SDS, not just Bread Gang, not just the SF Niners network, but there's a lot of content creators out here. And if we all stick together, bro, and we just post clip after clip after clip after clip, retweet, like, podcast. Look at this hold, not called, tagging NFL officiating. Oh, we can make some noise. So I agree with this. The holding on Bosa stems back to 2019. He's been being held at a rapid rate since he entered the league. And I will put it upon the SDS that we will make this an emphasis within our group. We will look for it every week. When we see it, we will highlight it, and we will make everyone else hear about it. That's going to be one of our calls to action as a group this year. We're going to let the NFL know that we don't like Nick Bosa being held. So I think that's a noble cause. I think that's something that we can all get behind. So I think that's going to be a part of it. Ooh, we got to come up with a hashtag too. SDS saves Bosa. Oh my goodness. I agree with Roman here too. He says, I've given myself headaches during the games after yelling that he was getting held and not getting flagged. And we know what that hold looks like. It's the armbar. It's because he beats the offensive lineman to the edge. What does the offensive lineman do? They throw out the 90-degree hook. So they basically just put their arm out. Bosa, it's just like a hook. You put your arm out, you keep it at 90. It's a lot easier to maintain like this particular, like, because you can swing from the shoulder, but you can keep it intact. And then they just get Bosa around the neck and they just kind of like armbar him. And it's like clockwork, man. It's like clockwork. They hit the edge. Bosa hits the edge. They gets around him. The last line of defense is the freaking 90-degree arm bar. And then they just wrap him around the neck. And they don't call it. It's like, oh, God. We're not letting it slide this year. We are not letting it slide. Not in the SDS. Ooh, let's go. Appreciate you, my boy. Oh, the bots wanted some action too. The bots wanted some action too. But I agree. Got to get Bosa paid. Got to get Deebo paid. Do we pay both? Do we pay both? Do we pay both? Ooh, I like this. Someone, well, we got Joey in here. We got some content creators in here. Someone create a Bosa hold watch. Like where literally that's all the account posts. Someone can do it. Bro, we could make this thing like again. SDS, we go far. We're international. I hope you guys know that. SDS is international. So if we really want to hold someone accountable for their behaviors, well, we can do it. Someone create account. All they post is Bosa getting held. And that is it. Guess how much 49er fans would eat that shit up? Joey can do graphics too. Like he can make a freaking logo. Like that's it. That's all the account does is post Bosa getting held. That's it. Every game, we send the clips to the one account. We tag the account. Everyone retweets it. We tag NFL officiating. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I love it. Hashtag free Bosa. Good times. Keep Bosa alive. Bots love the channel, man. Bots love the SDS. I'm pretty hyped. We're about an hour 30 in. I've been trying to get better at timing, but I don't know. I'm just vibing. I like the new setup. You guys vibing on the new setup? We got the new setup, baby. So I guess this will be a little like soft launch because I'm still figuring out how it works. So you guys could theoretically, I think, officially join the SDS squad. I don't know if you guys seen it. I don't know if you guys seen it yet, but you can officially join the SDS. Before joining the SDS, we were subbing, liking, hitting the notification bell. But you can officially join the SDS. I think we have Yeast Level, which is the first one, if you guys haven't seen it. Again, I'm still trying to figure out how it works, so bear with me. Let me see here. Oh, let's go. Hey, this is number one. This is number one. This is the first official SDS referee with the whistle member. Let's go. Shout out, Joey. Appreciate you, my boy. But eventually, so this is also what we're going to do for call-in shows. So I do want to do call-in shows, but I want to make sure that we're sticking with people that are rocking with us. So we're going to be doing this as well. But shout out Joey for coming the first member. Let's go. Shout out Joey. Appreciate you, fam. Appreciate you. So we're going to see how it rolls. But open to any feedback, things like that. But again, we're going to see what happens. Shout out Joey, bro. What a legend. But shout out to Joey. Number one in the books. Appreciate you. Oh, boy. We got a whole bunch more. Hold on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We got Aloha Smitty number 2. We got Aloha Smitty number 2. We got Bryant number 3. Let's go, baller. Remember, sub this boy's YouTube channel too. Not former, uh, also 49ers content creator. Make sure you show him love. Shout out to everyone, bro. We got 4 members. We're litty. We are lit. I appreciate you guys, man. We got some members. Let's go. We got 4 members so far. We got Joey. Let's go. I appreciate you guys, man. We got number 1. We got number 2. We got number 3. We got number 4. Let's go. Shout out the squad. Shout out to squad. How do you become a member? All you got to do, I guess, is hit that join button. But there's 2 options. That's what I'm feeling like. That's what I'm saying, dude. I love my ADHD, bro. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Shout out the squad, though. I really appreciate you guys, man. Like, you guys already know. Like this stuff that I'm doing, we don't do this without the SDS. So I appreciate you guys. Let's go. Let's go, LeBron. Hey, I'm a Curry truther, but hey, shout out LeBron. Let's go. Appreciate you, family. Number 5. Ooh, call your shot, bro. Number 5, like Trey Lance. Let's go. Let's go. Bryant's rocking that Ray McLeod number 3. Aloha Smitty was 2, right? Oh, that's your real name? Okay. Okay, Bronny. Okay. We see you. We see you, my boy. Let's go. He's like, what would be phenomenal is if LeBron was a Curry fan. That would just make my day. LeBron, if you were, oh, let's go. Oh, we got some lineage. We got some lineage here. Oh, so they're the originals, from what I'm concerned. I love that. And you call your son Trey. Okay, I like this though. That means what? You're rocking with Kawhi. I like that. I like that, man. I love that you're a Clippers fan. That makes me hella happy that you're a Clippers fan. Let's go. Shout out the squad, bro. We got more. Shout out Will. Let's go, Will. Appreciate you, man. Hey, I'm not going to front. Okay? I'm going to be honest. Like you guys see, I like my jerseys. I'm a what you would probably call a diehard Warriors fan. I got plenty of Warriors jerseys. I think it was 2014. The Spurs knocked the Warriors out the playoffs. And I like Kawhi. I like Kawhi coming out of San Diego State. I just thought he's going to be a good player. I like Kawhi coming out of SDSU. I'm not going to lie. When the Spurs beat the Warriors, I don't know if people are going to get mad at me for this. I went out and bought a Spurs Kawhi jersey. I'm a big Curry fan. Big Curry. I've got like 4 Curry jerseys. But in 2014, when the Spurs bounced the Warriors, I had so much respect for Kawhi. I went out and bought a Spurs Kawhi jersey. I'm being honest. Hey, I'm being honest. It happens. It happens. I love Kawhi, man. He's a legend. And he's turned into a legend. That was when he was young. That was young Kawhi. Now he's of course, made us pay for it, but let's go. Let's go. Number two. Number two. Appreciate it. Ooh, let's go. We got a pod. I'm assuming 49ers pod. Let's go. But shout out everyone, bro. Shout out everyone. I'm gonna shout you guys out again. Who we got? So shouting out Joey, numero uno, Mr. Jimmy Ward. So Joey's Mr. Jimmy Ward at this point. We got Aloha Smitty number 2, Jason Verrett, Bryant Culp, rocking the Ray McLeod, Bay Area baller with the E-Man. We got LeBron with the Trey, calls his son Trey, and is a Clippers fan. Probably my favorite development of the day. Probably my favorite development of the day. We got Will rocking 6. Who's 6 now? 6 is Marcus Johnson, who I like, though. I think he's good. So that's what we got. But I appreciate you guys subbing to the SDS. Really, really do. Excited to see this group grow. We're going to have some merch coming here pretty soon. Really excited about that. So obviously tomorrow is going to be a big day. We got mandatory minicamp. We're going to figure out who shows up, who's available, who's going to be there. Does Deebo show up? Does Bosa show up? We're going to have to find out. We are going to have to find out. Let's do a quick poll. Drop it in the chat. Does Nick Bosa show up tomorrow? Let's see what you guys think. Does Nick Bosa show up tomorrow? Drop it in the chat. So far, yes, Bosa shows up. Idris says shows up, but no participation. Paul says yes. Yes, sir. Bryant, SDS member, says yes. Sean says yes. Eric says yes. John says no. Stovey says everyone shows up. Love that. Yes, on the sideline watching. Paul. I agree. I think he would be here. I don't know if he actually practices. Aloha says, yeah, just paces the sideline like a caged big cat. Yo. Oh, I like this one. He shows up and gives me 1 milli. I'll take it. That's funny. He says, J-Tan says, Brad, you're not a Warriors fan unless you have that Jason Richardson jersey. I didn't have a Jason Richardson jersey, but my kids had a Jason Richardson jersey. So they had a Jason Richardson onesie. I don't know if y'all can say that. I have a Jason Richardson onesie that's like a jersey, but it's a onesie for a baby. So if we're talking about real Warriors fans, I'm just saying I got a Jason Richardson onesie. Obviously not for me. Appreciate you, Jack. Appreciate you. Eric, no. I don't if you're trying to join, I don't think it's showing. Justin says yes. Bryant says he shows up but always practices by himself, which is true. All right, let's do Deebo. Let's reset. Does Deebo show up? Does Deebo show up to the party? Do we get Deebo Samuel in Santa Clara tomorrow? Does it occur? Do we see it? Do we actually see it? Jack has no skin in the game. He's a Raider fan. He says Deebo doesn't show up. Idris says no. Sargent says yes, but holds in. Ooh, Baller says one day late. Take that. I think it's like a $13,000 fine if he didn't show up for the first day. And then like progresses. It gets higher. Charlene says no. Mav says he shows up and says Brock Purdy's QB1, then leaves. Yes, that's exactly what happens. Zay says no. Yes on Deebo. Eric says yes. Jorge says hell no. LeBron's trying to figure it out, but leaning towards yeah. I mean, he was in the Bay last night. Deebo shows up Thursday to sign his new baller contract. Ooh. Paul says probably not. John says he shows on day 2 to reiterate his desire for a new contract. Justin says nah. And let's see. So it's a sliding scale. He gets fined. So if he could theoretically miss tomorrow, he's not getting fined 90 for tomorrow. I think Matt Barrows actually kind of posted that scale and what it looks like. Let me pull it up so we can all look together. But it's a sliding scale. So if you're curious about what Deebo would get fined if he didn't show up, and let's say he opted to show up on a different day, this is what day 1 looks like. So day 1 is nearly $16,000 fine. Day 2 is nearly a $32,000 fine, and day 3 is nearly a $48,000 fine, for the total of approximately $96,000. So it's a bit of a sliding scale. Again, this is from Matt Barrows of The Athletic. So it is something to think about. It's not, he doesn't show up the first day and it's just 90. So we'll continue to figure that out. But again, is that going to be enough for Deebo to show up, or does he not? I agree with Justin. I hope he shows up, because I think it's another level of drama that we just don't need to just deal with anymore. Like, because again, if he doesn't show up for for mandatory minicamp, well, what are we going to talk about until training camp? We're going to talk about, probably not going to talk a lot, but it will be a point of emphasis. It will be a point of it will be a talking point. We will be talking about Deebo, and if Deebo shows up for training camp, and it'll be more speculation and more, probably silly social media posts and things like that. So we'll figure it out. Also, why did minicamp get moved up? I don't know. I think Mayako asked about that. I don't think he got like a straight answer, at least from what he said. But it does feel like they're just trying to get it over with. Again, they're straight off the back of minicamp. I think there would have been like a week and a half kind of lull. Um, but it just you kind of get it over with. More time between the end of this period until training camp. I think it makes more sense to just kind of combine OTAs and minicamp together, not having to go off on a break and just keep everyone around. Just keep them around for 3 more days and then let everyone go on their own way. And that's kind of what it sounds like from Mayoko's perspective. Again, they've only had the media available for 2 days worth of practice, and it's been, from all accounts, like really light feeling. Like there's been some light work. There's been a day where they didn't have helmets. And it just feels like much different than previous years. It feels like they're just trying to get through without injury, just trying to get out of this period. No injuries. Again, they lost 3 players last OTAs. They got in trouble. I think they got minicamp taken from them last year for contact that was happening in OTAs. So, you know, I think they're just trying to get through this period, get it over with, and get everyone back to their lives, preparing in the off season and training for training camp. So we're close. I don't mind. I like that they moved it up because we would want this entire week without it. Um, so we'll see. And Justin says, "Do you think they drop more OTA footage anytime soon?" And it depends on who they is. If they is the 49ers, I would lean on the side of no. I know they've done their media day stuff. They were doing their shoots last week um, with the media portion side of it. But when it comes to clips from camp, we might get one of those like really like tightly cut packages where it's just like really fast edits and it's really hard and it's good good on the 49ers for calming down any potential speculation. Uh but I would imagine, based on how I'm kind of viewing the 49ers media strategy up until this point, they're taking a kind of a step back approach more so than any year that I've seen from them. So, but it makes sense. Like with the amount of the types of conversations that have surrounded the 49ers up until this point, the amount of speculation. Again, uh, Peter King ranked Trey Lance as the 17th most influential player in the NFL, and it wasn't because he was actually influencing anyone. It was for the simple fact that Trey Lance is continuously uh, a main point of emphasis in the media. Um, is essentially what Peter King was talking about. Um, I don't think, with he only named 22 players and coaches and guys like the commissioner like was number 1. Goodell was number 1 on the 22 most influential NFL people. Trey Lance was number 17. Why is that? Is because the media won't stop talking about him. It's because the media won't stop putting out hit pieces on him. And then we respond, we counter, and then that's why he's influential. It's because people are constantly talking about Trey Lance. So we're gonna continue to see how it plays out. But ultimately, I don't think the 49ers are going to be putting out a ton. I think the 49ers are going to be kind of keeping things close to the vest. Uh, and that makes sense. I get why. So we'll see, but I think there should be media availability this week. Again, it's still kind of new with the shift that's happening. So we'll see. We'll see what that's about. Uh, but until tomorrow, again, practice is going to be around what time's practice going to be around? The practice is going to be around, I think, 11 o'clock in the morning. And then we will hear from the coaches, a couple of the coaches, around noon. And we'll also hear from some players. So on Tuesday, Wednesday, we are going to be able to hear. So we're going to be able to hear from coaches. We're going to be able to hear from players. So we'll hear, and then we're going to break, and then the long road to training camp begins. But guess what? We're going to be here to talk about it all and do all the good stuff. So excited about it. Excited about how we're growing as a group. How we got our first SDS members, official SDS members. Again, you're not a member of this. I just want to make that clear. But we're trying some new stuff around here. So again, that you don't have to show your support monetarily. I want to make that crystal clear as well. Of course, that helps the channel, helps me create more content, helps me continue down this path. But again, if you're in the chat, if you got good vibes, you're a member of the mod squad, you're a member of the SDS, man, that's huge. That's huge. Again, we appreciate everyone who can show their support in any way possible. So I just want to make that clear. You guys are, again, I keep saying it, best group in all of YouTube, and you cannot convince me otherwise. But appreciate, we got the new little badges for our new members, all that good stuff. Cap says he doesn't see a join button. I don't know if it's because you're on your phone. Maybe that, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. No rush, because you guys are all SDS members at the end of the day. So I really do appreciate you guys. Appreciate you for sticking around almost 2 hours. Make sure you grab your cookies on your way out, your participation medals, and because if you made it through almost the whole 2 hours. Congratulations. Well done, everyone. But I'm excited. Mandatory minicamp starts tomorrow. We'll have media availability tomorrow. We'll hear from coaches. We'll hear from players. We'll get some clips. We'll get all the stuff. We get to find out if Deebo's showing up. We'll get to find out if Bosa's showing up. We're going to find out who shows up, who doesn't. Ooh. I'm really excited about that. But again, appreciate all the squad for tapping in with your boy. As always, the SDS is undefeated. Make sure you smash that like button on your way out. Hit that notification bell. And, of course, hit that sub button if you haven't already. Appreciate all the conversations today. You guys have been phenomenal. Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys. So we'll have plenty to talk about. Plenty to talk about tomorrow. So I'll see you guys. Appreciate you. You guys have a phenomenal rest of your Monday. And we'll be back to talk a lot of 49ers football tomorrow. Until then, peace.